Why Buddhism was the most revolutionary religion in history and why it matters today. Most religions say, our way is the only way. But Buddhism, it did something so radical, so unexpected. It shocked the ancient world, and it might be exactly what we need today. A viewer recently asked, I love Buddhist ideas, but I don't want to give up my Christian faith. Can I follow both? Not only is that okay, it's exactly how Buddhism changed history. And if we understand why, we might just find a way out of today's modern culture wars. A spiritual revolution. Imagine this. You're living in a world where religion is like choosing a sports team. You don't just pick your faith, you defend it aggressively. If you're born into a certain religion, that's it. No switching teams, no questioning the rules. And if you do, you risk everything. Your family, your community, even your life. Sounds extreme, right? But let's be real. Even today, this still happens. Ever had a family member freak out because you questioned their religious beliefs? Or lost friends because you started exploring different spiritual ideas? This is nothing new. It was even worse in the ancient world. Back then, every religion threatened, follow us or face divine punishment. Religious wars weren't just disagreements. They were fought with actual swords. And questioning the faith wasn't just frowned upon. It could get you banished, tortured, or killed. Then along comes the Buddha. And instead of saying, abandon your gods, he says, keep them. Just try these practices and see if they help. Religious leaders thought he was insane. This wasn't just a new way of thinking. It rewrote the rules of spirituality. Blending, not fighting Buddhism didn't spread by forcing people to convert. It spread because it blended. Imagine you're a Buddhist teacher arriving in China for the first time. You see people worshiping nature, believing in balance and harmony through Taoism. Instead of saying, you're wrong, follow Buddha instead, you say, hey, those beliefs about nature, they're amazing. Let me show you how meditation can help you feel even more connected to it. Boom, Buddhism takes root. Now picture Japan. People are practicing Shinto, worshipping spirits and ancestors. Instead of tearing those temples down, Buddhist monks build new ones, right next to them. Even today, you can see someone bowing to a Shinto god, then ringing a Buddhist bell, all under one roof. Imagine walking into a church and seeing a meditation space right next to the altar. That's the kind of open-minded spirituality Buddhism introduced to the world. But this wasn't just some clever marketing strategy. It was something deeper, something modern psychology is just now beginning to understand. The Buddha's big realization. To see why this was so radical, let's rewind 2,500 years to ancient India. It was basically a spiritual battlefield. The Vedic priests said you needed complicated fire rituals to please the gods. Jain monks believed in starving yourself to reach enlightenment. Philosophers spent their lives debating the nature of the soul. And each one claimed, we have the only truth. But Buddha noticed something weird. The priests, still suffering. The monks, still miserable. And regular people, still lost, terrified of choosing the wrong path. This is still happening today. We spend so much time arguing over who's right that we forget to ask, is this actually helping anyone? Think about modern debates. People fighting over whether prayer, meditation, or therapy is best. Arguments about whether spirituality should be personal or institutional. Endless online battles over whose beliefs are correct. The Buddha saw this exact same pattern. So instead of joining the religious shouting match, he did something completely different. The question that changed everything. One day, a group of priests came to debate him. They showed up ready for battle, armed with scriptures, logic, and religious pride. They expected Buddha to fight back, to claim his way was the only way. But instead, he asked them one simple question. A question that didn't attack their beliefs. A question that didn't claim superiority. A question that would change how humans think about religion forever. He simply asked, is it working? Not, do you believe? Not, who is right? Just, try it. See if it helps. And that changed everything. Why this matters today. We live in a world where people are constantly told, pick a side. Science or spirituality, religion or atheism, Western beliefs or Eastern philosophy. But what if we don't have to pick? What if, instead of asking who is right, we asked, what actually works for me? You don't have to choose between prayer and meditation. You can do both. You don't have to reject your faith to learn from Buddhism. You don't have to fit into a box just because society expects it. The real secret. The Buddha didn't want followers. He wanted people to wake up, to stop blindly believing and start experiencing, to stop defending a belief and start living it. So here's a challenge for you. Take one Buddhist practice and try it for a week. Meditation, mindfulness, compassion exercises. Not because you believe in it, just to see if it works. Because in the end, it doesn't matter what label you put on your spirituality. What matters is whether it helps you live a better life. And that's what the Buddha really taught. Final thought. If this idea resonates with you, keep exploring. Read, learn, try different practices. Because at the end of the day, spirituality isn't about choosing the right team. It's about finding what truly helps you grow. And when we shift from who is right to what actually helps, we change not just our own lives, but the world around us. Closing CTA, call to action. If you found this interesting, hit like, share this with someone who's questioning their path, and subscribe for more deep dives into spirituality, philosophy, and the things that actually make life better. And remember, you don't have to pick a side. You just have to find what works. Buddha's revolutionary approach to religion, and why it still works today. You've received the final word from the divine, the ultimate truth. So how can you say that other paths are equally valid? This is what makes Buddhism so different. Unlike prophets who claimed exclusive access to divine revelation, Buddha wasn't saying, "I am the chosen one, follow me." Instead, he was more like a scientist. Here's what I discovered through meditation. Try it yourself and see if it works. No blind faith. No threats of divine punishment. No my way or the highway. And this difference? It was about to change everything about how Buddhism interacted with other religions. Buddha's revolutionary move. So what made Buddha's approach so radical? It all comes down to a genius strategy, one that no one had ever tried before. Remember the priests who came to challenge him? They were ready for the usual religious showdown. They expected Buddha to argue, to claim superiority, to dismiss their gods and rituals. But instead he asked them one simple question. Has following your practices actually ended your suffering? Boom. No one had ever framed the conversation this way. Religion was always about who had the truth, not whether that truth actually helped people. The priests were stunned, because if they were honest, they were still struggling. Here's where it gets really interesting. Instead of mocking them or saying, "See, you're wrong," Buddha did something completely unexpected. He said, "Keep your rituals if they help you. But let me show you some additional tools that might make them work even better." This changed everything. Let me show you how brilliant this was in action. The fire worshippers, a masterclass in understanding. There's a famous story about a group of fire worshippers. These guys were devoted. They believed that performing sacred fire rituals was the only way to reach salvation. One day they came to challenge Buddha. They probably expected him to reject their beliefs, maybe even ridicule them. But instead, Buddha said something fascinating. Your sacred fire rituals, keep them. Wait, what? Then he said, but let me show you another kind of fire, one that burns inside you. He explained, anger is like a fire that scorches the mind. Greed is like a fire that consumes everything in its path. Meditation is like learning to be the master of these inner fires. The fire worshippers were shocked. No one had ever connected with their beliefs like this before. Buddha didn't tear down their traditions. He deepened them. It's like a martial arts master saying, keep your fighting style. Let me just teach you some new moves to make it even stronger. That's pure genius. Buddha wasn't offering dogma, he was offering tools, and the real brilliance. This approach was about to reshape religious history in a way that had never been seen before. The mind-blowing success of Buddhism. Remember how Buddhism spread without war or forced conversions? Here's where we see how brilliantly it worked. When Buddhism first reached China, something incredible happened. Instead of trying to replace local traditions like Taoism and Confucianism, Buddhist teachers did something revolutionary. They said, "Hey, you know your concept of the Tao, the natural flow of the universe? Well, let us show you how Buddhist meditation can help you experience it more deeply." This was mind-blowing for the Chinese. Here was a foreign religion that didn't want to destroy their culture, but actually made their existing traditions stronger. No wonder Buddhism spread like wildfire across Asia. And everywhere it went, it didn't just adapt, it innovated. In Greece, Buddhism met Greek culture and created the first ever Buddha statues, inspired by Apollo's image. In Tibet, Buddhism blended with local shamanic traditions to create something entirely new. In Japan, if you visit a Buddhist temple today, you'll still see people honoring Shinto gods and Buddhist teachings together. Everywhere Buddhism traveled, it didn't become weaker, it became richer. And here's the crazy part. This isn't just ancient history. Buddha's approach is something we desperately need today. Why this matters right now. Think about the world we live in. Everyone is told to pick a side, science or spirituality, religion or atheism, Western beliefs or Eastern philosophy. But what if we don't have to choose? What if instead of asking, who is right, we asked, what actually helps? You don't have to give up prayer to practice meditation. You don't have to reject your faith to learn from Buddhism. You don't have to fit into one box just because society expects it. And here's the real secret. The Buddha didn't want followers. He wanted people to wake up, to stop blindly believing and start experiencing, to stop defending beliefs and start living them. A challenge for you. So here's a question. What if you tried one Buddhist practice this week? Not because you believe in it, not because you have to change your faith, just to see if it works. Try meditation for 5 minutes. Practice mindfulness while eating. Choose kindness in a moment where you'd normally react with anger. See what happens. Because in the end, it doesn't matter what label you put on your spirituality. What matters is whether it helps you live a better life. And that's what the Buddha really taught. Final thought. If this idea resonates with you, keep exploring, read, learn, try different practices. Because at the end of the day, spirituality isn't about choosing the right team. It's about finding what truly helps you grow. And when we shift from who is right to what actually helps, we don't just change our own lives, we change the world. Closing CTA, call to action. If you found this interesting, hit like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into spirituality, philosophy, and the things that actually make life better. And remember, you don't have to pick a side, you just have to find what works. Buddha's mind-blowing approach to religion and why it still works today. Imagine walking into a temple in Japan. You see something amazing. People clap their hands to honor the Shinto gods. They ring a Buddhist bell for mindfulness. Same building, 2 religions, 0 conflict. It's like a spiritual smoothie, blending different traditions in a way that somehow tastes better together. And here's the wild part. This isn't some modern feel-good innovation. It's been happening for over 1,000 years. And this blend of traditions isn't just found in temples. Silicon Valley tech companies are using Buddhist mindfulness to boost productivity. Hospitals worldwide teach Buddhist meditation to help patients manage pain. Even the US Marines train in Buddhist-inspired mindfulness for focus and stress control. The impact is everywhere. Christian monks are using Buddhist meditation to deepen their prayer life. Muslim scholars are exploring the connections between mindfulness and Islamic presence practices. Jewish meditation centers are integrating Buddhist techniques while staying true to their traditions. But the biggest proof of Buddha's genius? It happened 2,300 years ago, when an emperor did something that had never been done before. The emperor who changed everything. Let's go back to India, 3rd century BCE. Meet Emperor Ashoka, a ruthless warrior, until he converted to Buddhism. And then, instead of forcing his new religion on everyone, he did something unheard of. He built temples and monuments for all religions, not just Buddhism, all of them. While other parts of the world were fighting religious wars, this Buddhist emperor became history's first champion of religious freedom. Think about how revolutionary that was. While others said, "My way or the highway," Buddhism said, "All paths can lead to truth." And that raises a huge question. Why did this work so well? What's the secret behind it? The Buddhist secret. So, what's the secret behind Buddhism's unique approach? Why was Buddhism able to do what so many other religions struggled with? It comes down to 3 genius insights Buddha had. Insights that are still game changers today. 1. Truth is like a mountain. Buddha realized something most people miss. Arguing over beliefs is like fighting about which path is the best way up a mountain. It doesn't matter which path you take, if they all lead to the top. What matters is whether you're actually climbing. 2. Give people tools, not rules. Modern psychology confirms this. When you force people to pick a side, they resist. But when you give them tools to explore their own path, they naturally grow. It's the difference between being forced to eat vegetables versus discovering they actually taste good. 3. Truth isn't something you believe. It's something you experience. This is huge. Imagine you've never tasted honey. You can read books about it. You can argue with people about whether it's sweet. You can memorize facts about its chemical makeup. But the moment you taste it, there's no debate. That's why Buddhism focuses on experience over dogma. You don't have to believe in meditation. You just try it. You don't have to argue about mindfulness. You just practice it. And suddenly, you see the results for yourself. Real-life proof, how this works today. This isn't just theory, it's playing out right now in real life. Take Sarah, a Christian meditation teacher in Texas. She was hesitant about Buddhist mindfulness until she realized it deepened her understanding of Jesus' teachings about being present. Or Muhammad, a Muslim student who struggled with anger. Buddha's compassion practices helped him understand Islamic mercy on a whole new level. See the pattern? Buddhism doesn't replace faith, it enhances it. So how can you use this in your own life? 3 ways to apply this in your life. 1. Focus on practices, not beliefs. Instead of debating who's right, ask what actually helps reduce suffering. If meditation makes you less stressed, does it matter where it came from? 2. Look for common ground. Just like Buddha told the fire worshippers to keep their rituals but find a deeper meaning, we can look for shared values in different traditions. You might be surprised at how much overlap there actually is. 3. Validate through experience. Don't just accept or reject ideas, test them. Try 5 minutes of mindfulness this week. Practice compassion in a situation where you'd normally react with frustration. Ask a friend of a different faith, what helps you find peace? Then see what happens. Because in the end, spirituality isn't about choosing sides. It's about what actually makes your life better. Your challenge. Let's wrap this up with something powerful. Remember that viewer comment from the beginning, the one who was worried about mixing Buddhism with their faith? Now you know the truth. Buddhism might be the only religion that says, keep your faith, just try these tools. You've seen how. Buddha changed the game by focusing on practical solutions instead of forced beliefs. This approach spread peacefully across Asia, proving that wisdom thrives when it's shared. Ancient temples still stand today as living proof of this philosophy in action. But most importantly, you've learned that respecting different paths while walking your own isn't just possible, it's powerful. Your challenge this week: have a conversation with someone from a different faith. But instead of debating beliefs, ask, what practices help you find peace or meaning? You might be shocked at what you learn, and who knows, you might even discover new tools for your own journey. Final thought: If this video opened your mind, hit like and subscribe for more wisdom that actually improves your life. And let's hear from you. What surprised you most about Buddhism's approach to other religions? Have you ever combined practices from different traditions? How did it go? Drop a comment below. I read everyone, and until next time, stay curious, stay wise, and I'll see you in the next video.